It's been a couple of months now since the last video, and there's a good reason for that. We've both been pretty busy making some significant changes to our lifestyle. So for the last couple of years, we've been leading a nomadic way of life. We've been house sitting, traveling, staying in our van. And for a number of reasons, we decided that it was time for a change. Probably the biggest factor is COVID. It's impacted on our ability to travel overseas. It's reduced significantly the opportunities for us with house sits because there are less people traveling around in New Zealand, so less people needing their houses and pets to be looked after. And the sort of business activities that we were hoping we'd be able to develop over the last year or so have been really badly impacted by COVID. So we need to earn some money. We don't want to spend another winter staying in the van with a few house sits here and there. So we decided that we'd both start looking for some work, and whoever got a job first that looked okay, we agreed that we'd go for that wherever it is within reason, and the other would follow on and try and sort something out once we got settled in the new location. So Vasi won the race. She got the first job offer, and that was in Melbourne, Australia. So we decided that we'd stick with the commitment that we made and move over to Melbourne. So that's what we've been busy doing over the last few weeks. And this video here is just, I guess, gonna record a little bit about the process that we went through to get to the point that we traveled over to Australia. And then there's a couple of other videos that I'm putting together right now as well, which just record a little bit about what we've been doing after we arrived in Melbourne. So enjoy the video. Because of the nomadic way of life that we've been leading recently, we haven't got anywhere near as much in the way of possessions as most people would have. So the process of getting ourselves to a point where we could leave the country wasn't quite as daunting as it would be for most people, but we still had some fairly significant items that would have been difficult to deal with if they were still hanging around at the point that we flew out, not the least of which was the van and the trailer. So they were the first things that we set about trying to sell, and they both went really quickly. In fact, the trailer sold within a couple of hours of the advert going up. The van took a bit longer, but I think the COVID situation's actually helped us in that regard, because there is a shortage of vans, and with people not being able to travel, there's quite a lot of interest in staying in New Zealand and having caravans and motorhomes. So certainly it was pretty easy to actually get rid of the van, and it's a sort of a bittersweet thing to have happened. We've had the van for a couple of years, and we've obviously been to a lot of places in that van, and I've just put some photos up now that I'll just quickly talk through, which just, I guess, illustrate how much we've enjoyed having the van. So what we're looking at now is a photo that we took on the very first day that we got the van. So we picked it up from the dealer in end of May, early June 2019, and went to a local campsite just for the first night, just to figure out how to work the van. So yep, there it is, first day. And of course after that we had a bit of time in the UK, and then we headed off to predominantly Spain, and we just had a great time traveling around Spain and Portugal for nearly 2 months. Stayed in a variety of campsites, got to know about the van and also just about van life in general. This picture's actually in Portugal. This one was in Girona, near Girona. a little town that we stopped in northern Spain after we just exited out of Portugal, in one of the free overnight camping spots that we came to discover. And then this picture is us actually packing up and dropping the van off at the shipping agents just as we were about to fly back to New Zealand. And the van followed us back, and a couple of months later we got the van into New Zealand. So we got access to the van towards the end of October 2019, and just shortly after that we clicked over the 10,000 kilometre mark. So we'd done nearly 10,000 kilometres travelling around Europe, and then we set about using the van to travel around New Zealand, and it gave us an opportunity to go to some lovely places, quite a few of which probably we wouldn't ordinarily have gone if we didn't have the van. We found nice, beautiful, empty beaches. We found free overnight parking spots in idyllic locations. This one is around Whangarei, and we just had a lovely evening there by ourselves, cooking up an evening meal. And then this photo now is the final visit trip that we had with the van, although at the time we didn't know that. So this was Ruakaka, just south of Whangarei in Northland, in January 2021. And we had a great time with our stand-up paddleboard there. And yeah, here's one of the photos that I used for the advert for selling the van, and you can see that we've just gone over the 20,000 K mark. So we did 10,000 kilometres travelling around New Zealand, and just had a great time with that van. And yeah, it's something we'll always remember. But time to move on. So moving on entailed getting rid of some of our stuff, but there's some things that we've decided that we're going to hold on to for the time being, and we've put them into a storage unit in central Auckland. We managed to get everything in there with a bit of space to spare. It's all labelled up because the plan is that once we feel that we're settled for a bit of time into Melbourne, we're going to ship some stuff out, including the electric scooter that you can see there in the photo, and probably the bikes. So they're just sitting there waiting for us to decide that they're going to come over to Melbourne with us. Whilst the COVID situation has been challenging, there's definitely some really good things that have come out of it, and one of the best things that's come out of it is the opportunity that we've had to spend time with Steve and Debbie. You'll know from the videos, if you've seen my earlier videos, just how much time we have spent at Steve and Debbie's over the last year, and we're really grateful for their hospitality and friendship in terms of making life a lot easier for us. I hope that they've enjoyed spending and sharing their house with us so much over that time. But yeah, that's one of the things that we are going to miss as we move into this new phase of our life. They are Australian, so hopefully they'll be over here on a regular, if not frequent basis, and we'll have the opportunity to catch up with them again. But yeah, we're definitely gonna miss the time that we've spent with them.
Oh wow, serious stuff there going on. You've been to dancing
classes.
Wow.
You went to the class crashes.
Okay, the moment of truth is coming up.
Sorry.
Cutting is one thing, but sliding it off onto the plate in one piece.
Yeah.
Oh! The final thing to be sold was the trusty VW Golf. That vehicle has been and travelled so much with us, and it's been packed with things so many times as we've moved from house sit to house sit, and we managed to keep it literally to the final day before we left, and its final journey was to be packed yet again with our 6 checked-in suitcases and all the hand luggage that we had as we set off from Steve and Debbie's to the motel that we were going to stay at the night before we flew out. And after disgorging the contents to the motel, we then drove it round to the guy that had bought it from us and said goodbye, and that was the final thing to go. All we were left with at that point were the things that were going on the plane with us. Of course, one of the most obvious impacts of COVID has been on airports and international travel. So we flew before they'd even opened the bubble with Australia, so there were hardly any flights coming into or leaving New Zealand, and we knew it was going to be a pretty surreal experience going through what is normally a busy airport, but which would probably be like a bit of a ghost town. And hopefully these short video clips coming now will give you a sense of what it was like. Well, here we are, very early in the morning, just about to fly out to Melbourne, and just thought I'd record something that we'll probably not see again, which is a totally empty arrivals area at the airport. There's actually 2 flights going out, one to Melbourne and Sydney, so there's quite a few people grouped back here. But apart from that, the place is empty. We've just deposited 6 checked-in bags, so that's filled the plane up. And gee, we weren't even allowed into the premium check-in area this time because they haven't even got it open. So yeah, we'll check out the area upstairs shortly. Yeah, so this place would normally be bustling and full of people. Lots of empty check-in areas. Yeah, so this is where the duty-free would be on either side of us, as they force us to walk through the area so that we feel like spending money. Not working today.
How healthy is that?
Hey?
How healthy is that? All our pockets.
So there we were, a few hours later in central Melbourne. We stayed the first night at a hotel right in the centre, South Bank, near the Yarra River, and if you leaned out of our room, you could get a quick glimpse of the CBD of Melbourne. So yeah, start of a new adventure.